been endorsing. I've been practically using my social welfare disability Irish welfare to fund like a very unbiased propaganda war on YouTube. I know Russia don't care about YouTube, what YouTube say, but I've been actively involved, like dispelling stupidity on YouTube and gospelling. I haven't made a video about it. I made one video originally about Ukraine, and it was very poetical and kind of like infantile and distant and naive, you know. And now I've seen it escalating, and now I've been talking lots about it. And I don't know about the 7 years of independence that Ukraine went through and what's that's been like for everybody exactly. You know, there's a lot of videos about persecution and speaking Russian. And for Ireland, you know, we had some, I don't want to compare miseries, we had somewhere similar with independence and dominance and things, and when we do get independence, we seem to be exploited by like America and stuff. And my country, Ireland, is casually used, although we're not a NATO country. This is very similar. We're not a NATO ally or NATO country, but we very easily welcome many warplanes, transatlantic, particularly our geography is important, to refuel in Shannon Airport and fly off down to the Middle East and destroy members of the Joseph family and, you know, that and stuff, and whatever America doing. We let them, you know, we prostitute our independence and our geography. We don't really know about it, but we just do it because these people come over to our countries and they build hotels and they build stuff. So this is exactly kind of what happened in independent Ukraine. They're not even EU, they're not even NATO, not even EU, but they're welcoming these people. So these people come and they'll build stuff, but they'll build lots of other stuff while they're there, because like they're staying there. This happens. They build shops, they build car stuff. They bring lots of prosperity. Military, like kind of things, will bring lots of prosperity to your area, your country, and they will lobby independent countries. Ukraine's only been independent 7 years, and they were very blatantly lobbied. So we get lobbied for our transatlantic geography. Ukraine were obviously lobbied for their geography right next to Moscow. You know, one of my main things on the internet campaign that I've been doing, a bit on YouTube, commenting, fighting war for freedom. The Cuban Missile Crisis is a bit of a mirror image of exactly what's happening in Ukraine. And if you compare how the world is treating it, it's very interesting to see how he's treated it on this side and on this side. So you had Soviet missiles going into Cuba. Weren't exactly Soviet, but they're communist and friendly. And they're taking missiles out there, and JFK intercepted with military. He blockaded and prevented this, or wanted to remove this. And nobody said JFK was mad Vlad or was tyrannical, and nobody sanctioned America over this kind of stuff. Cuba fell into civil war, I'm pretty sure, over this. They destroyed themselves then. If Cubans, which I imagine they could very easily have done, attacked US Marines, they'd all be called pirates and terrorists. But EUs don't mind Russian Marines being attacked by Ukrainians. It's a mirror image of the exact same situation. So you have NATO military going out very close to Moscow, closer to Moscow than Cuba is to anywhere important in America. Florida's not that important, but, you know, destroy Florida first. So and these are all endorsing this, like, you know, if Boris Johnson had to talk about Cuba, he'd just be like, oh, independent nation, a sovereign nation, and, you know, an industrial nation, and, you know, he's so the hypocrisy is terrible, you know what I mean? Nobody sanctioned JFK, nobody called him insane. He used his military to remove this kind of stuff from the areas. A little bit about Ukraine, in my opinion. Ukraine is like gifted motherland, the Slava land, the salvation land. So if you were a Russian KGB officer for like 40 years, you get gifted land by communist kind of nation, communist technology. You get gifted land in Ukraine, and after hundreds of years, it is all the best soldiers, senior officers, KGB officers, all the best are all living in Ukraine. They've all been gifted, so it's very easy for Ukraine to realise that we're all the best and the history of the best. And it's just the Tsar and the boys left in Russia who he's just bringing up. So you kind of think Russia's very vulnerable in this way. We're all the best. They were good at winning battles. These men, the KGB officers, these elite Russian, kind of semi-Russian soldiers. They didn't exactly win the wars, There's a lot of paperwork and stuff that wins wars. No matter how you talk about it on YouTube or how you express it on your chances. So there was not really a war. It wasn't a war with the Cuban Missile Crisis. And it's not a war or an invasion. These Russian soldiers are somewhat trespassing. If I was Zelensky, I would have sent solicitors. Like EU solicitors. I got the good solicitors, a few nerds on the front line. And I would have dealt with the big bully in this kind of manner. And I would have just fined them all for trespassing. And every soldier that trespassed, the fines would go up and up and up. And I'd win that way. I'm getting a call here, don't know who's from. Very social. So, nobody calls me, that's weird. Right, so, so Z Boys in Russia and Z Tsar versus all these things. It wins on paperwork, basically, anyway. All of these Russian soldiers are under Z protocol Z. And you see some V tanks, and you see some. I'm not certain, but I'm pretty sure these are very well tactically placed negotiations of combat style. I don't mean to be very disrespectful to many dead people, but if you imagine you had a Call of Duty kind of game where you had this, you have different kind of games they play. Sorry, games, but if you had this weird Z protocol game, and the Z protocol means you can't attack until they attack you first. So that's what most Russian soldiers are there, while they're kind of somewhat, vaguely trespassing. They can't attack unless they're given good reason to defend themselves. That's what Z means. Z is two parallel lines and a cross going through it. So we're parallel until you Z against us. That's why there's a big thing in Russia. It's like, we're very parallel until you Z against us. So basically a Ukrainian soldier can walk right up to Z boys, right up to the Russians, and smoke with the boys and chat with the boys and have and talk with the boys, and they can't do anything. So you can imagine the tactical warfare going on out there, where you can walk right up to them and you can shoot one in the face, but then the rest of them are going to shoot you. So they're under this. That's why their Russian grandfathers are saying, my children are cannon fodder, because they're out there under this kind of Z protocol. It'd be very difficult. You'd be very well trained Marine or soldier to be equipped and prepared to deal with these kind of situations. So some weird situations I've seen, I know Russia are evacuating everyone they can and taking any POW that they can. But I'm seeing, Russian tank commander abandoned, ran out of fuel nearby Ukrainian town. Ukrainian villagers all come out and stamp him to death and tear him to pieces, under the Z protocol again. Former KGB officer talking with ammo and packing ammo and camo. Approached Z boys, talked with Z boys, smoked with Z boys, walked away from Z boys, and then signaled the command to attack Z boys that are being surrounded. And they shot, killed him, robbed a car, and tried to escape the situation. And he was done for a war crime, this kid. But under this bro, 20 years old. I don't have it. If I was like Bob Dylan or someone, I'd be following it up with interests. But I think he was executed for war crimes. He's a young lad. He followed protocol. Anyway, what else did I say about this? Yous all gave EU and American fascist, not American, but yous all gave fascist support to one nation not too long ago to fight Russia. And all sort of convoluted reasons and justifications. But you did that before, you know what I mean? You are doing it again. And in Poland, they're not going to have that crap. Ukraine saw a lot of the early days of World War II. And this is terribly similar. You know, it just so happens that Zelensky is just, didn't think there was any Jewish element to this at all, but it just so happens to be Jewish, but I really hope that doesn't open up into things. But it's crazy to think that people don't compare Zelensky to, you know, because he is a spokesperson. And he is taking fascist support from everybody, and money and power and weapons to fight Russia again. Yeah, when I say about Russia, you know, the JFK thing in Cuba, you know, Moscow's security is global stability. One of the most tree sensitive points on the face of the earth, probably like Beijing, Moscow, and America, maybe somewhere for Her Majesty is wherever she places her yellow submarines. But Ukraine was dangerously, and you know, these special operations, I've maintained that they are special operations because they've been dealt with as special operations. He's not invading. If he was invading, he would have destroyed Kiev. If he was invading, they would destroy the Ukraine very simply. And it has been under tactical and terrible words. I'm against all this military anyway. This is beyond me. This is a start, and I can't believe it's going to this. No, I had to stop it. You know, I don't mean to be bragging or boasting, but if I had been put by the Pope when I was meant to be put by the Pope, or if I was meant to be somewhere when I was meant to be somewhere, this wouldn't happen at all. I would have very easily nipped the whole Ukraine thing in the bud with the power of Christianity, with the reasoning of Christianity. I would have prevented it all. I was like, I don't care about your political or social engagements and so I would have prevented it all. And that I'll be waving white flags, and from Russia has a white and flag, and that I'll be wearing, and everyone will be white. You know, if your politicians aren't agreeing with one another, humanity, world, right? You elect these politicians. Now, if they're not agreeing with one another, they're not doing their job. You know, I get this a lot in Ireland, you know, oh, we'll never forgive you for 100 years, oh, we'll never forgive you. I was like, yeah, well, I'll just elect some hippie that doesn't care. You know, I'll just elect some, I'll get rid of all you old men, and I'll elect some, up-and-coming lesbians and hipsters. And they'll get along with the lesbians and hipsters in other countries, and there won't be war. So, if your politicians aren't getting along, sack them. That's their job to get along, you know, and elect hippies that do get along. They got all this pride and spite and history and reasons for hating each other, and they have to be getting rid of. You know, that compromises their integrity as a politician. If they make it personal and they get personal, you see a lot of people getting personal, and they'll be chopping their fucking heads off. You know, I mean, I'm very Taoist and super understanding and believe me, but you know, if I was Pope, you know, man, I'd be like, reign Holy Inquisition on Texas, Holy Inquisition here, for you fucking, no, stop me, man. Send out the redcoats, fucking naked heads. Yeah, where am I going? Any more to say about Ukraine, Gypsy Cuban crisis? They have only been on special operations, and they've justified their special operations because they found chemical weapons, they found death camps, they found nuclear weapon potentials being made. They've justified so like where I would have stopped them with solicitors, they might have come back with solicitors for special investigations, and they would have found, anyway, what they were looking for. They have found what they were looking for. I'm pretty sure they're justified in doing what they've been doing. And it's very weird now that these regions have all voted to be annexed democratically, and these are all spiting and opposing democracy. Ukraine never democratically voted if they wanted to be prostituting their geography to NATO. So they get greasy elbows. Now the people of Ukraine might have said, we want some healthy attention. We want some healthy EU attention and not the money attention that comes from being a NATO bum fluffer, you know what I mean? And they never voted, you know what I mean? Who's voting? I said at the beginning, so why aren't they voting while they're still there? And then they got dispersed all over the world. I was like, no, they can't even vote. Well, they can maybe, but yeah. And I happen to know Ukraine are exploiting my name. So I know under my name I can make an army of 1,000 that would kill 1,000,000 kind of thing. I know Ukraine are exploiting my name. I'm not happy with that. I'm very not happy with that. So you probably would perish and die by exploiting me. I'm gonna get Russian asylum soon. I think Snowden's busy. Snowden's got to do with my situation, you know. Piss me off. Snowden got Russian asylum. I didn't get Russian asylum. I wouldn't mind some Russian asylum. If you do save me, Vlad, anyway. Ireland, like I said, Ireland has this problem as well. My country at the moment has a runaway government, runaway Western NATO government. Our president Higgins is from Florida, like, you know what I mean? We've got a very much runaway government, and there's runaway governments, and I don't need to worry about doppelganger presidents and stuff going on all over the world. The Pope called all the presidents together, probably killed all of them and replaced them with his own doppelgangers. Just mobster of mobsters. I finished with Scarlett Francis anyway. Fucking sick of Frankie. What else good to say about Ukraine? They're attacking Belarus now, you know what I mean? Who's pushing who? And there was terrible press, you know, about, you know, murders and rapes and stuff and things going on. There was nothing to do with Russia. They're proving themselves as a world-class military at the moment, and they're not. Particularly with these kind of white supremacists and stuff, proving themselves as a world-class military. Gypsies and looters, all of them all around there. Doing lots of terrible things now. It's cowboy land. Anything to say about Ukraine? I know your symbol Zelensky as a capitalist to myself does not sustain. I know your symbol as a capitalist to myself does not sustain. Well, this is somewhat similar though, you know, like it's like a vinegary beer. It won't sustain maybe, no. Drink it. Anything else to say? Listen, America left all these big weapons for Ukraine. They were kind of illegal weapons. Clustery big bombs. I remember seeing their big black shiny things. And I just remember things like, wow, I wonder what flavour they are. Are they like strawberry flavour? Or like big chocolate flavour bombs? I wonder what flavour they are. This is instant blast, death, destruction, blood, and, you know, death. I wonder what flavour. Big, tasty looking. No, it's just death. No, there's no sustenance to it. It's just less life and less life and less life. So why do they put so much money into these big, gigantic vegetables that just make less life and less life? And there's nothing to say. I already destroyed the EU with my fist. What else to say? I don't want to get too geographical or geopolitical about it. I don't want to just be essential. So yeah, Slava Cuba hypocrites.